Pull up the chair. There's a Twitch clip open in one tab, a comment section rolling in another, and a woman on live telling y'all, direct quote, "I ain't leaving. I ain't left. 8 months pregnant. 3rd trimester. Last month energy." And the chat is begging her to walk. She won't. She's telling on herself and calling it clarity. Real quick before we crack this one open, if the kind of breakdown that reads the paper trail under the live is your thing, tap the like, lock in the sub, flip the bell so the next drop doesn't get buried in your feed. We're gonna sit with this one a minute. Here's the thing I want you to hold in your head while we walk through this, because it's the piece nobody's clocked yet. She said one specific sentence on that stream that contradicts something she did in June. Not something she said. Something she did. Pool table. Suitcases. You already know. We're gonna get to why that matters, and why the timing of this live, right before the baby drops, isn't random. Stay with me. Neveah Akira went live on Twitch on August 4th, 2026, roughly a month out from her due date with her and Jonathan Porters, the rapper known as Blueface, second child. The stream ran long. The chat ran mean. And Neveah, instead of clipping out, leaned in. She addressed how she copes when Blueface leaves the house. She addressed the comments calling her a live-in maid. She addressed the Miami situation from earlier this year, the one that ended with Chrisean Malone, known as Chrisean Rock, in the same city as him. And she addressed, in the flattest voice she's used all year, whether she plans on leaving. The answer she gave, no, not now, not ever, not for anything. Twitch hosted the stream. Clips are already circulating on X and TikTok as a press time. One more name belongs on the board before we get into the quotes. Carlissa Saffold Harvey, Blueface mother, and the loudest outside voice in this entire saga. Keep her in your pocket for later. There's also Jaidyn Alexis, the mother of his 2 older children, who answered the pregnancy news on her own Twitch broadcast with a composure that rattled the timeline worse than any outburst could have. And the venue that matters isn't only Twitch, it's Kick, the platform where his parallel streams have been running all summer. Per Hot 97's coverage of the February 22nd reveal, that's where he showed a positive test on camera and announced, "You're having a Blueface baby," before kissing her stomach for the audience. That sentence is going to age. Watch how. Let's start with what she actually said, because the sentences matter and the order matters more. On coping with his absences, I sit and just speak out. Text. I don't get a response on the phone. If I don't get an answer on the phone, I'm going to get my point across. That's her, on camera, describing a pattern of behavior. Text storm, call storm, escalate until acknowledged. She's not framing it as a red flag. She's framing it as devotion. Clip is preserved and circulating on X with the original stream timestamp intact. On the "you knew what you signed up for" line the chat kept throwing at her. At the end of the day, if your feelings are truly in it, you're gonna care. If your feelings are not in it, you don't give a, you know what I'm saying. I give too many. There's too many to be given. And that's my problem. Read that back. She's admitting the arithmetic doesn't work. She's just refusing to change the equation. According to Hot New Hip Hop, this is the same framing she used in a June IG Live, nearly word for word, right before the Miami trip broke into headlines. On Karma, and this is the one, she said, and I'm quoting, "I touch my stupid easy, 'cause I used to manipulate somebody that I can't manipulate. So Karma is really real." Then she asked the chat if they thought Chrisean would be Blueface Karma. Then answered her own question. I think she definitely will be. I gotta say that. I'm going to be his Karma though. Real time, on stream, she referenced Chrisean as an active karmic force in her partner's life, and then repositioned herself as the true one. Reported and clipped by XXL within hours. On the living maid allegation that dominated her comment section, she didn't deny it. She reframed it. How is your position different than a living maid? The chat asked. She said, and again, direct, trust me. He's just seen just having a good time. If they was to sit there in this house and be in relationship with him, why do you all think they're gonna get any type of better treatment? That's not a denial. That's a, well, everyone else would get it worse. Per Hip Hop DX reporting on the archived stream. And then the sentence that lands the whole thing. So here I am not leaving. And I know he's been waiting for me to leave. Sit with that one a beat. Now here's what the folder adds. 4 days before the August 4th stream, she was already on camera describing the arrangement out loud, on a kick stream with Adam 22 and Lena the plug across from her and Blueface beside her. He explained the physics of her pregnancy to 2 podcast hosts like she was furniture in the room. And Neveah, in frame, put the whole dynamic into one sentence. Direct, he goes and gives it to somebody else. Reported by TMZ on July 31st. Flat delivery. No tears. She filed that sentence the way you'd read a weather report. 9 days before that, there was the confession. On a July 21st kick stream, Blueface looked at his pregnant girlfriend and said, "I cheated." Her answer came back in 2 words, "I know." When he tried an apology, she returned it unused. "What are you sorry for?" No reason to say sorry if you had intentions on doing it. His closing offer, per XXL's write-up of the exchange, "Take my apology and take it with honor." The same piece documents 2 more artifacts, a July 27th Instagram story showing Chrisean Rock holding Chrisean Jr., captioned "My son," deleted within hours but not before it went everywhere, and a beach video of the 2 of them that surfaced July 28th. Honor. That's the word he picked. Rewind to January. After the Stunner Girls stream blew up her mentions, Blueface didn't argue with her. He posted, "Neveah has been cut from the roster. She did not make the team. This is a dictatorship, not a democracy." That's the sentence, preserved in capital XDI's timeline of the relationship. A breakup announcement worded like a front office transaction. And roughly 5 weeks later, they were on Twitch together with a pregnancy test and a new car. A dictatorship, not a democracy. Is funniest when he means it most. Okay, so, line those quotes up against the calendar and something starts humming. June 2026, reports surface across Complex and All Hip Hop that Neveah's belongings were seen packed up in the Chatsworth house, luggage on the pool table, the whole visual. This wasn't a rumor floated by a blog. There was video. It went up on her own stories before it came down. The framing at the time, from her camp, from the streams that week, was that she was leaving. That it was over. That the Miami trip Blueface took, the one that overlapped with Chrisean Rock schedule down there, was the last straw. Then July hits. Nothing. No move. No new address. No separation announcement. The luggage story disappears like it never happened. Now it's August 4th. She's on live saying, and I'm reading it back to make sure I've got this right, "There's nothing he could do that would make me leave." So which version is the receipt? The June suitcases or the August declaration? Both were public. Both were her. Only one can be operative. Wait, back up. There's a smaller detail here that most people scroll past. The June packing coincided with Blueface Miami trip. The August "I'm not leaving" declaration coincides with her final trimester. 1 month out. That's not decorative context. That's the mechanics. A woman 1 month from delivery in California, where custody law leans hard on the primary caregiver at the point of birth, she's not making a romantic statement. She's making a positioning statement. The California Family Code Section 3011 weighs continuity of care, where the child is born, who's present, who's on the paperwork, all of it matters if this ends up in a courtroom later. And given that Blueface and Chrisean Rock's custody case over their son Chrisean Jr. has been active in LA County Superior Court since 2023 per public docket entries, nobody in this orbit is unfamiliar with how those filings shake out. She's not staying because she can't leave. She's staying because leaving right now costs her more than staying does. That's a different sentence than the one she said on stream. But it's the one the timeline is writing for her. Now stretch the timeline backward, because August 4th doesn't make sense without December. December 2025, she debuts his government name tattooed beneath her chin, misspelled, as his own mother pointed out publicly, per TMZ's December 17th coverage. January, the roster post. February 22nd. The test on camera, the kiss on the stomach, and, this is the part that keeps getting skipped, a Mercedes-Benz, gifted the same week, according to Hot 97's reporting. Every exit announcement in this relationship has a gift stapled to the other side of it. Every return has paperwork. I didn't want that pattern to be real. Then I lined the dates up twice. Something else is running underneath the summer, and it has a pulse. March 9th, Chrisean Rock fires back publicly after Blueface renews his paternity denials over Chrisean Jr., per Real 92.3. June, Miami. July 21st, the confession. July 27th, the deleted story. July 28th, the beach video. Read that sequence from Neveah's side of the couch. Every step toward the acknowledgement Chrisean spent the spring demanding happened inside Neveah's third trimester. And the deletion is the detail I keep circling. Posted, viral, gone. Who was the deletion for? Park that. We're coming back to it. And when we do, it's going to involve a judge in Las Vegas, a set of conditions, and a suspended sentence that hangs over every stream in this folder. One more overlay before we zoom. The June 26 confrontation, the heated argument over the Miami vacation that circulated as a YouTube clip, wasn't the only time this summer the warfare ran in front of a child. Per Complex's reporting on a separate kickstream argument, Blueface hit Neveah with, "You don't got no potential," followed by a sexual insult the outlet printed uncensored, with her son Superior in the room. Her response wasn't about herself. It was, "Don't say no shit like that. Especially in front of him. Don't say that. Bro, cause he can go to school saying some sucking dick. Like, don't say that." She's not defending her honor there. She's doing damage control for kindergartner's vocabulary. In frame. Again, the streams aren't happening around that little boy. He's part of the set, and this one's going to divide the timeline, because half the comments will blame who said it and the other half will blame who broadcast it. One line. I want to zoom in on one line, because it's the one that keeps replaying in my head. I used to manipulate somebody that I can't manipulate. Read it slow. She's not describing him. She's describing herself, past tense, as the manipulator, then present tense, as unable to manipulate the current subject. She flipped the framing the internet has been running with for 2 years. The dominant narrative, going back to the Rolling Stone profile from 2024 and the Vibe coverage that followed, has been Blueface as the puppeteer, Neveah as the recruited one, Chrisean as the ex who got out. In one clause, she rewrote her own role. She was the one running the play before. She just met somebody the play doesn't work on. That's not a small admission. That's her handing you the entire thesis of every Twitch chat theory going back 18 months and saying, yeah, mostly. Then adding, and I stayed anyway. The second magnifier, her son. She said, direct, why you snapping, Blue, when your son kicked him? I didn't hear it and I just heard my son crying. So I popped his. And then she cuts herself off. Then she continues, if when I birth his in the long run, he get older and I'm hearing him cry and he done did something, I'm going to pop him. Dad gets popped, too. So stepdaddy's getting popped. She's describing a household discipline norm involving her older son, Superior, the child she had before Blueface, and framing it as reciprocal. Everybody gets popped. Dad gets popped. Stepdaddy gets popped. That's not a joke about a stern household. That's a description of physical conflict as a family baseline. And she said it while 9 months pregnant with a baby that's going to be born into that baseline. Somebody in that chat has to be a family lawyer. Somebody in that chat has to work with LADCFS. If you do, you already know what I'm about to say is light. The third magnifier, and this is the quietest one. She said, I miss the times where we used to meet up at the hotel though. Present tense missing. Past tense arrangement. And then she described the earlier version of the relationship as the free version. The version where she wasn't the one he came home to. The version where she wasn't the visible partner. She said, and this is verbatim, it was never me complaining on his line. Which means she's on record identifying the moment she became the complainer as the moment she moved into the house. She misses being the option. She's living the position. The fourth magnifier. And this one's been sitting in the folder the whole time, waiting for you to be ready for it. The deletion forensics. July 27th, the My Son story goes up. Within hours it's gone, but the screenshots were already traveling. Here's the hedge, because it matters. Nobody can prove why it came down. Maybe he panicked. Maybe somebody's lawyer made a phone call. Maybe it did its job in 90 minutes and the job was finished. I can't verify motive, so I won't sell you one. But deletions have a direction. You don't erase something you never meant to stand behind unless standing behind it costs more than posting it bought. And whatever the reason, everybody in that orbit saw it. Neveah saw it. The August 4th stream happened 8 days later. The fifth magnifier. Remember the name I parked. The judge. Clark County District Court Judge Kathleen Delaney. In July 2024, she granted Blueface probation up to 3 years while suspending a 2 to 5 year prison sentence in the Las Vegas shooting case, according to court records obtained by 8 News Now. The conditions on paper, as reported, impulse control counseling, a curfew, and, read this one slowly, access to his communication devices and social media apps provided to the Division of Parole and Probation. The same case file produced a judgment ordering him to pay the now-closed strip club more than $13 million, per 8 News Now's reporting. And Delaney gave him a warning, on the record, "You are playing with your liberty. Quiet beat. Take the volume down with me for a second." Whether that specific supervision still reaches him today, the public record doesn't cleanly say, "I checked, and I'm not going to pretend it's cleaner than it is." But a man whose file contains a social media access clause spent this summer building a daily, hours-long, self-documented video archive of exactly who he is. Every stream is evidence nobody had to subpoena. He published it himself, voluntarily, in high definition. Okay, volume back up. The 6th magnifier. The compensation structure, because that's what it is. February 2026, the pregnancy reveal week came with a Mercedes-Benz Hot 97's coverage, which also notes the car showed minor damage later, and that he publicly insisted she wasn't responsible for it. Even the gift came with a press release. Add the housing, add the vocabulary, cut from the roster, made the team, main position. Strip the romance off, and what's left is an employment frame. She holds a title, draws benefits, and gets evaluated against other candidates in public. Nobody in this arrangement is pretending it's a fairy tale. He certainly isn't. He said dictatorship. That's an HR policy stated plainly. The 7th magnifier. And the ink. I had to zoom in 3 times before I trusted what I was looking at. The tattoo beneath her chin reads as his name, but the spelling is off, a detail his own mother mocked publicly per TMZ's December 17th report. It's visible in every close-up of the August 4th stream. She's answering questions about why she won't go, with his name, spelled wrong, under her jaw in permanent ink. A misspelled name you can't take off is either the saddest detail in this whole folder or the most honest one. I went back and forth on which. Then I watched the karma clip again. 3 camps are running 3 different reads of the stream, and none of them are quite honest about it. The loyalist read, running heavy on X and in the Blueface adjacent podcast circuit, is that Neveah is thriving, comfortable, chose this, and the haters are projecting. All hip-hop's comment sections lean this direction. The framing verbs are confident, clear, committed. They emphasize that I'm not leaving, quote. They bury the I sit and speak out, quote. They bury the karma line entirely. The Chrisean Rock vindication read, dominant on TikTok and in certain corners of Reddit, is that Neveah's stream is proof that Chrisean was right the whole time and got out clean. The framing verbs here are exposed, confirmed, unraveling. They emphasize the karma, quote. They bury the fact that Chrisean Rock's own custody situation with Blueface has its own set of receipts that don't flatter her either. Complex has been careful with this framing, the smaller blogs have not. The Sympathy Industrial read, showing up in longer YouTube breakdowns and some Hip Hop DX opinion pieces, is that Neveah is a victim locked into a coercive dynamic and needs a way out. The framing verbs, trapped, isolated, manipulated. This read has receipts too, the described tech storm coping, the described household norms, the visible fatigue, but it also strips her of agency in a way that contradicts what she literally said on the stream. She said she was the manipulator. She said she's staying. She said she signed up for this. The sympathy read wants to write over her own sentences. A 4th framing deserves its own autopsy, the celebration read. Capital XDRA's February coverage framed the pregnancy reveal as pure joy, baby as content. The couple kissing on camera. Congratulations all around. What's instructive is what the celebratory framing did with the roster post from 5 weeks earlier. It mentioned it, shrugged, and moved on. The verbs that appear are announced, revealed, expecting. The verbs that never appear, demoted, dismissed, humiliated. The announcement coverage launders the demotion coverage, and everybody who read both just accepted the whiplash as normal. The couch economy has a framing too. The July 30th kickstream, the one TMZ covered, got framed everywhere as an awkward viral moment, him saying something crude with her beside him, hosts shifting in their seats. Notice what that framing centers, his audacity. Notice what it buries. Her one sentence, the somebody else line, is the only part of that entire segment that matters to August 4th, and the Spectacle Red treated it as a throwaway. The framing is never neutral. It's an editing decision with an agenda. Now, somebody in the comments right now is typing, "You're being too easy on Blueface. He's the one who created this dynamic. Put the accountability where it belongs." And I hear that. I do. Blueface has a documented pattern going back to 2020 per XXL's reporting and the criminal filings referenced by the Los Angeles Times, of behavior that would make any reasonable person leave. That's real. That's paper. But here's why I still lean the way I lean. The stream wasn't him. The stream was her. And on the stream, she made a series of statements about her own psychology, her own choices, her own arithmetic, that don't fit any of the three camps cleanly. She's not thriving. She's not vindicated. She's not purely a victim. She's a specific person doing a specific calculation, and the calculation is coming out in favor of staying, and pretending she's doing anything else is disrespecting what she actually said. There's one more pushback circulating, and this one doesn't come from the sympathy camp. It comes from the roster loyalists, and it's been the top reply under every repost of the stream all week. She's there for the car and the house. She knew the deal. Nobody forced her. I already know what that camp is about to type, so let me type it for them first. And you know what? Taken seriously for a beat, it has logic. The Mercedes is real. The housing is real. The benefits are visible. But the paper cuts the other way. The June suitcases weren't the behavior of somebody protecting a benefits package. You don't pack out of a house you're farming. The hotel line wasn't nostalgia for luxury. It was nostalgia for a version of this with no title attached. And the karma clause is not the mission statement of somebody who showed up for a paycheck. People don't describe themselves as consequences over a car. Whatever she's collecting, it isn't merchandise. The loyalist Red prices her at exactly what he pays her. Her own sentences price her higher. Mainstream Red on this stream is going to be "Sad Woman Defends Indefensible Relationship." That'll be the headline by tomorrow. Some outlet is already drafting it. In fact, one major outlet already pre-wrote that frame 4 days before she ever went live. The Spectacle write-up of the couch stream ran exactly that. Read, him crude, her silent, everybody uncomfortable, nothing deeper. That version is easy. It's also incomplete, and the next few paragraphs are why. Here's where I actually land. Neveah isn't defending the relationship. She's defending the position. Those are different things, and once you see the difference, the whole stream reads differently. Run the new receipts through that lens and they all sort the same way. The roster post wasn't a breakup, it was a performance review. The deleted story wasn't a family moment, it was a message with a timer on it. The couch stream wasn't a humiliation. It was her being present, visible, and on paper 4 days before the declaration. Which is the whole job description. Presence, documentation, repetition. The position is primary partner, mother of the upcoming child, resident of the Chatsworth house, presumptive point of contact for anything involving the newborn. That position has value. Real, calculable, courtroom-relevant value. And she's 1 month from cementing it in a way that can't easily be reversed. The relationship, the emotional content of it, is almost incidental to the position. That's why she can say in the same stream that she misses the hotel days, that her heart is exhausted, that she's tired, that everybody in this orbit gets popped, and that she's not leaving. Because the leaving question isn't about the relationship. It's about the position. And once you read it that way, the karma quote becomes the tell. She said Chrisean will be his karma. She said she'll be his karma. She positioned herself as the delayed consequence, not the current joy. That's not a woman describing a partnership. That's a woman describing a long game. She used to be the manipulator. She met somebody the play didn't work on. She stayed anyway. And now she's telling the chat on stream that her staying is the punishment. Now, the deletion question I parked back in the overlay. Who was the July 27th story for? Not Chrisean. She didn't need a disappearing post to know what July was. Not the fans. His whole brand is not deleting. Read it against the probation file, the device access clause, the impulse control condition. And the deletion looks less like romance and more like risk management. Somebody reminded him what paper he was under. That's a lien, not a certainty. I flagged the hedge when we opened the folder on that one, but it's the only red that fits every receipt on the table. And if you spotted the thing I spotted in that sequence, the gap between the post and the deletion, post the timestamp, because the comments are about to do forensics anyway. That's not sad. That's not romantic. That's strategic. And the timing, 1 month from a delivery date, in a state where the delivery paperwork matters, in an orbit where the other mother of his child spent 2 years in and out of LA County Superior Court filings, the timing tells you she knows exactly what she's doing. And okay, I have to say something about this part specifically, because it's the one that snagged me and wouldn't let go. The July 30th couch. His describing her body to 2 podcast hosts while she sits there in her 9th month, and the internet laughed at him and moved on within a day. I keep coming back to her face in that clip, not the humiliation of it, the patience of it. 4 days later she went live and filed the declaration. You don't get that calm without a reason. I don't know the reason. I know what the paper suggests. Some jabs, because they're earned. The apology economy in this house is wild. The honor apology isn't an apology, it's a coupon with terms and conditions. The dictatorship line is the funniest thing he's ever said, and he meant it as a threat. And somewhere in Las Vegas there's a shuttered strip club holding a $13 million IOU from the same man buying luxury cars for optics. That's not a roast, that's just a file. As for the couch ecosystem that keeps handing him a microphone and a smack, it'll keep booking him right up until the day it pretends it never did. One jab I'll soften, because the target didn't ask for any of this. His mother. Imagine spell-checking your son's girlfriend's neck online while a probation file somewhere asks for his passwords. That family group chat is a documentary nobody greenlit. The chat wanted her to leave. The chat kept saying it. And every time she responded with "I'm not leaving," she was doing 2 things at once. She was making the chat mad, and she was making a record. A public, time-stamped, self-narrated record that at 8 months pregnant she was voluntarily present in that home. That record has a use. It has a use in a courtroom. It has a use in a custody deposition. It has a use in every future filing the California Family Code is going to have opinions about. I'm not saying she's plotting. I'm saying she's protecting. There's a difference, but the mechanics are almost identical. Somebody in the comments is gonna push back and say you're giving her too much credit. She's just in love. Maybe. I've been wrong before, but the woman on that stream didn't sound in love. She sounded tired, calculating, and 1 month away from the finish line she's been running towards since June. The suitcases on the pool table weren't her leaving. They were her negotiating. And the August stream isn't her staying, it's her collecting the terms. By the time September closes, the baby is here. Once that delivery paperwork exists, the position Neveah spent the last 4 months securing becomes structural, not situational. Watch what happens to her public tone the week after. It softens. It stops needing to defend itself on live. The declarations disappear because the receipts finally exist on paper. By the time the birth announcement hits, expect the caption to do legal work. Watch how the wording centers the household, the family unit, the home. Once the paperwork posts, the Mercedes stops being a gift and starts being evidence of an arrangement, and every roster joke he ever made reads different in a family court filing. The next window also grades the chat's favorite prediction, the she'll go after the baby camp. Don't be shocked when that one fails in public. An exit postpartum forfeits everything the last 4 months secured, and she has said, on record, twice, that she is not going. Don't be surprised if Blueface Miami travel picks up again in the first 6 weeks postpartum. The pattern he ran in early 2026 extended out-of-state stretches during Neveah's 3rd trimester with their first child has a rhyme to it, and per Hip-Hop DX coverage from that window, it's a documented rhythm, not a one-off. She'll be home with a newborn and a toddler. The text storm coping she described on the August stream, that's the version that's about to get tested at scale. And this time, there's a paper record of her describing the pattern in her own words, which changes what a family court does with it if it ever surfaces there. And the geography has teeth now. The Nevada conditions on paper, the curfews, the travel terms, the work basis carve-outs for exactly the kind of trips he favors, Per 8 News Now's reporting on that file mean every out-of-state stretch is a documented event whether he streams it or not. Once the first work trip posts, watch who comments first, because her camp reads his locations like a docket. As for the camp predicting fatherhood softens him, that prediction dies on the same couch it was born on. The wild card is Chrisean Rock. Her custody arrangement over Chrisean Jr. is active and public per LA County Superior Court filings. If her legal team gets a hold of the August 4th stream, specifically the karma quote and the household discipline description, that footage becomes potential exhibit material in her own ongoing case. Not against Neveah, against Blueface. And Neveah's own words become the ammunition in somebody else's filing. That's the play she may not have priced in. Watch how fast the march posture reverses if the acknowledgement stands. She said she was done communicating after the denials, per Real 92.3's March report. But my son changed the temperature, deleted or not. By the holidays, expect the deleted story to resurface in somebody's filing or somebody's stream, because deletions don't die in this orbit. They incubate. And the camp insisting she'll abandon the custody fight for peace? That prediction fails the moment the first exhibit list includes a Twitch timestamp. The residue, the 5U one, is superior. Neveah's older son. He was already in the frame during the stream, already part of the household conflict description, already the child being popped in her own words. He's going to grow up in the footage. He's going to be old enough to read the transcripts. Every clip that circulates today becomes a search result he'll find on his own timeline. That's the part of this that isn't recoverable. That's the part the karma quote doesn't cover. And the schoolyard version of it is already scheduled. He can go to school saying, she worried about that herself, on camera, this summer, in the middle of an argument that wasn't about him at all. By the time he's old enough to search, the archive will answer questions she hasn't been asked yet. That's the aftershock no filing can seal. And the loop I asked you to hold onto at the top, the pool table, the suitcases, the June packing, the reason it matters isn't that she lied about leaving. It's that she never lied. In June, she was leaving the relationship. In August, she's staying in the position. Both were true. Only the framing changed. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Not in this stream, not in the next one, not in whatever she says on Live the Week the Baby Comes Home. That's what the paper says. That's what the timeline says. That's what she said, in her own voice, on August 4th. Drop where you land in the comments if you worked in family law in California, or if you were watching that live in real time and caught something the clips are missing, the team's reading. Hit the like, lock in the sub, ring the bell. The next case is already in research. And if you kept the screenshots, you already know what to do with them.